works. You'll be meeting some of the key members of my team this afternoon from estates, finance, food, comms, library. All of those people will be talking to you this afternoon, as well as representatives from the GCR, which again in non-Oxford speak is sort of roughly equivalent to the Students' Union, and our junior deans. So it's quite a full programme. Very good to see you all here. Before I go any further, I'd just like to say we will be issuing the slides later on. So don't worry about trying to copy down links and all of that in a hurry. Hayley, who's in charge of the presentation, will be sending that out to you all later on. We've got quite a lot of presentation to get through this afternoon, so there's quite a lot of information, but all of it will be useful to you, and all of it is intimately linked to how you interact with college, everywhere from paying your monthly bills, where you get food, how you find advice, where the gym is, the library, IT, your links to us after you've left Green Templeton with your degree tucked under your arm. All of that's going to happen this afternoon. We are, of course, in very strange times. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, the likes of which haven't been seen since 1919, 1920, with the Spanish flu. It is really quite an extraordinary time. I know many of you are coming in from abroad, so your own countries will be wrestling with this in the same way as we are here in the UK. One of the outcomes of that is that as we get to know more about the virus and its impact, our governments, not just here in the UK but abroad, are changing regulations, rules, and in some cases even legislation. That does mean that sometimes it has an impact on the way we operate here in college. It does mean we have to issue notes at fairly short notice and ask people to follow the new guidance. I do ask that you read these notes and that you help us all by following the guidance and the rules. These are being put in place to protect us all from the dangers of the virus. We are a community. We're a community of about 1,000 people, 600 odd students, 200 to 300 fellows, and about 70 or 80 staff. And we all need each other to abide by the rules so that we don't endanger each other. Anybody who tells you that COVID is just like getting a bit of nasty flu, well, I can give you personal testimony, having spent a week in hospital with it, that it most definitely is not. I really do not advise anybody tempting fate by running the risk of getting COVID-19. It is very, very unamusing. But today is all about getting into how it works in college and welcoming you here. So I'm going to finish now before I hand over just with one thing. If you forget everything else you've heard today and somehow the slides have disappeared, please just ask. Ask any of us that you see, send emails, phone calls, whatever. Or if everything else fails, go and ask the lodge. They are an absolutely vital hub here in college, as you'll see when you start using college. They might not know the answers to every question, but they absolutely will know who to point you to. So please treat them as your friends, advisors. It's where your post is. It's where everything from Amazon comes in. But do ask. They will be able to help you. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand over to the team, and we're starting with Teresa and her team in estates. Look forward to seeing you at the end when we have questions. Teresa, can I hand over to you?
Great, thanks Tim, and welcome to everybody. So I'm Teresa, I'm the domestic bursar here at Green Templeton. That means I'm responsible for the estate operations. So that covers accommodation, the lodge, the gardens, the grounds, housekeeping and maintenance. Next slide please. So I'm just going to go through a few of the key points that are under my remit. We are sending out a weekly accommodation bulletin for those of you that are living in our accommodation. So do try and read that because it does contain some really useful information. And I'm also sending out a services update hopefully on a weekly basis, but sometimes if nothing has changed in a week, then I might not actually send it out on a weekly basis, but do again try and read that because it contains the most up-to-date information. Next slide, please. So just to quickly go through the teams. So if you are living in our accommodation, you have probably emailed or spoken to Emmy or Nick. Nick's on this call as well, so you'll get to meet him later. We have a housekeeping team in college. We also use an external cleaning company as well. You may hear the term scout mentioned when they're talking about cleaners. If you've not been out of Oxford before, then you won't know that that means a scout means a cleaner. So if we do use that terminology and you don't know, that's what it means. Next slide, please. We've got a couple of gardeners. So Michael's our head gardener, and you'll see him out and about on the main site most days. He's been with the college 40 years, and Carolyn's his assistant gardener. And as Tim was saying, the lodge are your first port of call if you've got any queries or questions that the college office or accommodation or people that you would normally talk to can't answer. So you've got Jamie, Anne and Dan who work during the week. You've also got some night porters, Sam and Pete, and Yola and Birdie work at the weekends. We have an in-house maintenance team as well, which are Steve, Johnny, Colin and Bill, and they're the guys that will be coming out to fix any bulbs or issues with plumbing, heating. They make sure everything's sorted. Next slide, please. So as Tim mentioned earlier, the Porter's Lodge, they're always on hand with any problem or simple question or query. You can call or email them. They are open 24/7. And if they can't answer your question or query, then they will make sure you're passed on to somebody who can. The lodge is where the pidge room is. So the pidge room is obviously where all the post and parcels come into college. And if we weren't in COVID times, then you would be able to access the pidge room directly. But at the moment, we need to restrict that. So the lodge will pass everything through to you. So you can have your parcels and post delivered. And any incoming comms that needs to be printed out will be put in your pitch. So do check that regularly if you can. Next slide, please. So the lodge also look after the security of the college. They will remind you around things like locking your doors and windows. If you go away for long periods, it's worth telling the lodge that you're going to be away. You can report any security incidents, and that even if you don't live in our accommodation and there's been an incident and you just want to report it so that we've got a record, it's really useful to do that. Keep your bike locked up, and we also have a bike registration scheme in college, so if you want to pop to the lodge and get that sorted, they will give you the relevant information. And I would suggest putting the lodge telephone number into your phone, so if you do ever need them in an emergency or just want to give them a call, it's in there ready for when you need to speak to them. Next slide, please. So we've been working hard over the summer, the whole team, to get the college safe for everybody. You'll see lots of things around college, one-way systems in some buildings, one person at the lodge at any time, lots of hand sanitizers everywhere, signage, maximum numbers in each room. So we ask you just to make sure you're aware of all of those things around college, and hopefully it will, if everybody adheres to them, it will keep everybody safe. Next slide, please. So one thing to make sure you know in the UK that you're the symptoms of COVID, there's three main symptoms that if you need to book a test, you will be asked whether you are suffering from. And these three main symptoms are high temperature, a new continuous cough, or a loss or change to your sense of smell or taste. We're very lucky that in Oxford we've got the early alert service, which is basically the Oxford University testing site. It's located right next to us here at Green Templeton on the ROQ site. So what we say is if you do get symptoms, and even if it's not one of those symptoms but you really are unsure, you can contact the early alert service. All the details on our website. It's also on the Oxford University website. Contact the testing site. They will ask you to self-isolate and book a test for you. We ask you to report to the college if you've booked a test so that we can follow up with any support. It's really important. We want to be able to support everybody, all college members, whether you're in our accommodation or not, just to make sure that you've got everything that you need if you need to go into self-isolation. One of the things that's not on the slide is just a reminder that if you have arrived in the UK and you need to quarantine, self-isolate for 14 days because you've come from a country not on the exemption list, it's really important that you do stick to the 14 days self-isolation. A test won't actually allow you to come out of the self-isolation. You will still need to stay in self-isolation for the 14 days. And remember, even if you're quarantining, that self-isolation means staying in your room as much as possible, not popping out to the lodge to collect post or popping to the shop. If you could adhere to that quite strictly, it's really, really important. Next slide, please. So our gardens and grounds are open to all college members at the moment. Hopefully once we're through COVID, then your friends and family will be able to come and visit and enjoy the gardens and grounds as well. We do ask that you keep to a maximum of 6 people at any one time in a group. That is the government's rules, and we need to adhere to that as well in college. There will be some GCR and college events organised, which have been risk assessed and given the college authority. So some of these events may be larger than 6, but we will be asking those groups to separate down into groups of 6 anyway. So, but we've risk assessed all of those events in college. Next slide, please. So there's lots of facilities that are in college and they're all open, which is fantastic. So you can log on to the intranet site for most of these areas and book a time slot. So the gym is open with 1-hour time slots, 7 days a week. The squash court is open and the tennis court. The hayloft, which is the common room in college, we are asking that you restrict that to just 6 people. That's not bookable. You can just turn up and use the common room, and also the common room in the observatory as well for students, so you can use that space. The library and study rooms need to be booked, and again you can find all that information on our intranet site. So you go on to college members from our main website, and then you can find all the information on booking one of our facilities. Next slide, please. So I'm just quickly going to mention about sustainability, something other than COVID, which is quite nice. We're really pleased as a college that we were awarded the Gold Green Impact Award last week. One of very few colleges that received an award. So all the students and staff have worked really, really hard over the last year to contribute to the award. So we ask students to really think about their behaviours around sustainability. So that might be, rather than turning your heating up, maybe pop on another jumper, put another layer on rather than turning the heating up. Think about turning off your electrics when you leave your room, and just talking to the GCR who have a sustainability rep to help with any questions that you might have around green issues. We're really passionate about it at college. So next slide, please. So I'm going to hand over to Nick Martin now, who's the accommodation manager, and he's going to go through some resident information. Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. I apologise to start with, just in case my connection cuts out. I've had to, I've lost my broadband at home, so I'm on a hotspot. But I'd like to start with the residents' information. Hopefully, if you're a resident, you've probably moved in if you're listening to this already. If you are living in an Observatory Street house or a Rewley Abbey Court or Norham Gardens flat, that's your household within those walls. If you're living in a shared house in St Margaret's Road or on the main college site, you'll know that you've been put into a household, and then that indicates which shared bathrooms and kitchens you can use. If you've turned up and you need to go into self-isolation, hopefully the lodge have given you some cleaning equipment so that you can clean sort of doorknobs, handles and everything that you use in the kitchen during the first 2 weeks. After that, then you're free to socialise with everybody in your household. In the meantime, probably keep 2 meters away from everybody else so that you don't either catch anything or pass anything on. If any cleaning products run out, please let us know and we'll replenish those. Each building's been allocated with a house supervisor, and so they'll be getting in touch shortly to give you details about events and how the house works and how to report faults, which we'll come on to in a minute. So please use them because they're there to help you and also the college, so they're kind of a conduit between both. Okay, next slide, please. Thanks. The next one is fire safety. The fire alarms are tested at the college once a week. That's usually on a Wednesday. Fire drills will be carried out once per term. If you're a resident, there'll be a fire drill in your property and you need to evacuate within 3 minutes. If not everybody does, unfortunately, that means a repeat of the fire drill, and it could well be earlier in the morning. So it's probably in your interest to do it first time within 3 minutes. We haven't got time to watch the fire safety video. It's too long. But if you've got time, have a look. It's absolutely startling how quickly fire takes hold. So please, we would ask you to not wedge open or tie open fire doors, including your room door, because that will stop fire spreading throughout the building. In the past, we've had some false fire alarms, and these have been caused by cooking or maybe deodorant sprays near a detector head, candles, joss sticks, that sort of thing. So be aware of that. If you hear a fire alarm, please evacuate the building immediately and wait for assistance. And the numbers that work in the UK for emergencies are 999, 112, and also 911. That also works now. Now, finally, on this slide, there is a no smoking policy in the college in all buildings, the grounds, car parks, everywhere. This has been in place since 2014, mainly because Sir Richard Doll, who was the first warden at Green College, proved the link between smoking and lung cancer. So we want to uphold that by banning smoking, vaping, e-cigarettes throughout the college. Next slide, please. Now, ordinarily, we would be coming into student rooms in shared houses and cleaning, but that's not possible at the moment due to COVID. So what we've done instead is to increase the cleaning frequency throughout the day. So that's all touch points, door handles, and everywhere else within the college, so that you can feel safe. There are hand sanitizers all around, so we would ask maybe use those when you go in and out of buildings. And also there's signage showing the one-way system around the college so that you can find your way around, that you don't bump into anybody going in a door that's meant to be out. So what you can do to help, as I've said, use hand sanitizer, which is placed around the college. Communal toilets, one person at a time in those, so pop your head around the door, make sure there's nobody else in there before you use them. And then the library and communal kitchens have set times for cleaning. So if you find there's a cleaner in there, please don't go in until they've left. Okay, next slide, please. Repairs and maintenance. So reporting repairs, there's a link on here. There's a quicker one, which is roombookings.gtc.ox.ac.uk. That will take you into where you've booked your room initially. Use your single sign-on, you can log in, and then there's a link where you can report any faults, either in your room or property or any other shared areas within your accommodation that you've got access to. If you get stuck, email me and I'll try and figure out why that's not working. The final thing I've got to mention is unsociable neighbours. Sometimes it happens. By and large, and historically, it's just a misunderstanding or a mistake. Nobody really sets out to upset anybody else. Maybe somebody pacing around, working at night, loud phone calls, that sort of thing. So probably have a word with the other person first. And if it doesn't stop, you have access to junior deans and they're going to talk to you later. So please contact the junior dean and they'll try and solve it amicably. That's all I've got to say. I'd like to pass you over to Debbie, who's going to talk to you on behalf of the finance team.
Thanks, Nick. I'm Debbie, part of the finance team. There's 4 of us in the finance team. Keith, who heads us up, Kathleen, Andy, and myself. I'm the fees administrator. Most of you will know me because I'll have sent you an invoice. Next slide, please. I'm here today to talk about the battles. I don't actually deal with the battles, but I'll see if I can get it conveyed across to you okay. Battles is the system for charging for items including accommodation, meals and photocopying. Non-rental items are paid for monthly in arrears and rent is paid monthly in advance. For example, rent for November will be paid at the end of October. Battles invoices are sent to your GTC email each month. So please ensure that you do log on to your GTC email because that's where we will contact you for everything. It'll detail the non-rental charges you have incurred for the previous month and your rent charge for the following month. Next slide, please. Battles must be paid via direct debit, which are taken automatically from your bank account on the 27th of each month. You will need to have a UK bank account and to have completed a direct debit mandate and returned it to the GTC Finance by the 14th of October. Don't worry if you can't get it to us for the 14th of October. It just means that you will need to pay your Battles account at the end of October yourself. Once you've set up the direct debit, it will come out automatically from November. All Battles queries should be sent to battles@gtcox.ac.uk. Next slide, please. Credit notes. Occasionally, there's a mistake. So a credit note is a refund and may be issued to adjust for previous charges for items on your Battles. If you receive a credit note, this will be automatically applied to your Battles account and deducted from your invoice. It will appear as a negative item in brackets on your Battles invoice. The credit note automatically reduces the amount that is taken from your bank account in your next direct debit payment. Next slide, please. Statements are sent out during the year to your GTC email. You will only receive one if you have outstanding invoices to pay. And generally, if you're paying by direct debit, you probably won't get a statement very often. This is not an invoice, it's a list of all unpaid invoices to date. The amounts shown on the statement are the total owed for each unpaid invoice. If you want to view the details of the charges shown on your statement, you'll need to look back at the individual invoices that have been emailed to you. And we do request that you try to find the invoices first before contacting us. It's quite time consuming for us to have to keep looking up old invoices. They all will have been emailed to you. Next slide, please. I think that's the end of me talking. I just quickly say that if you haven't received a fees invoice and you think you should have done, please do contact me at fees@GTC. And now I'll hand over to the junior deans.
Hi everyone, my name's Hetty and I'm one of college's 3 junior deans. So let's go on to the first slide and I'll introduce you to the others. So I cannot promise that you'll see us looking as well presented as we are in these photos around college, but this is myself, Charlotte and Carlos. So the 3 of us take it in turns to be your junior dean. So we're on a rota system. So every couple of weeks, the person who that email would go to or the phone call would go to would change. So just some bases for you to memorize. We hope that we're all very friendly and warm people. So if you do see us around college, please come and say hello. We've spent as the rest of the team the whole summer preparing for your arrival and we're so excited you're here with us. So please do come and say hello and introduce yourselves. So next slide, please. So firstly, just to explain a bit about what we are and our role. So the name Junior Dean can be misleading. I met someone earlier who told me that where they're from, Dean means like the person in charge of the whole university. Sadly, we're not quite there yet, but the role we do have is that we are, in fact, as you can see, I've given some nice, I've delved into the clip art trove of Microsoft Office, and this is some just a little pictures maybe to illustrate a little bit about what we do. So the idea is that we function as a bridge between, sorry for background noise, we are function as a bridge between you as students and the college really. So we're all students, we're doing different things. Charlotte and I are both medical students and Carlos is doing a DPhil, but we're also kind of partly on the staff team as well. So we like to think that we can maybe have a little bit more insight into your perspectives and experience as students, because we are them as well, but we do have that link in with college too. So that's the bridge metaphor that I'm trying to go with. The other pictures we have, so we have signposts, because that's a big part of our role, is when people have any kind of issue, concern, question, welfare problem, we can hopefully be a first point of call for you and be able to support you to access the person or the service that could best support you. Does that make sense? So whether it's financial, academic, mental health, noise issues, coronavirus concerns, please, if you don't know who to go to, come to us and we can support you to find the best person to help. One of our other little clip-up pictures is at EAR, and that stands for listening. So like I said, the welfare aspect of our job is really, really considerable and important. That's the main role really we'd like to think we have. So like I said, there's nothing too big and nothing too small. If there's anything that's bothering you or getting in the way of your welfare or well-being here at GTC, please do reach out. That is what we're here for. We really want to hear from you. And in terms of how you get in contact with us, we, like I said, we're on a rota system. There's a phone that is manned 24/7, a mobile phone. I actually have it with me here. And so whether it's you're at the middle of the night and having a really bad time with your mental health, whether you are worried about somebody else, whether you can't get home and you need a bit of help, please do call us if you need. And there's also an email address, which is jd@gtc.ox.ac.uk, and that we wouldn't be able to respond to that necessarily immediately, especially if it's in the middle of the night, but it is, we look at it every day and we should be able to get back to you quite quickly on that as well. So those are the main ways to contact us. And just to say, the other time you might come into contact with us is that we do have a little bit of a role when needed in the kind of discipline side of things. So if there, for example, if you're having a bit of a problem with noise, we could be one of the people you would go to, and it might be us who comes and just helps sorts that out in the accommodation, for example. So I hope that is clear. It is a bit of a strange name, and the role is quite broad, but I hope I've given you a bit of a picture of what we do, which is basically we are a first point of contact for any welfare issues. We've got a bit of a link in with all the college staff and can be a good signpost, hopefully, to help you guys get any support that you might need, whether it's big or small. Could I have the next slide, please? So this is just to give you a little bit of context of the wider welfare system that we exist within, and to just briefly introduce you to some of the resources that are out there if you need it. So I won't go through all of these, but this is a slide that you can refer back to if you need. But just to hopefully you can get a sense here, there's just a lot out there. There's lots and lots of people within the university network whose job it is, or whose part of their role is to be there for you, whether that is within the college, which I'll talk about a little bit, on your course, there's supervisors, college tutors, whether it's on a university level, and just to flag up the university counselling service there, or online support. There is just so many different routes depending on what it is that you might be facing. So the things I'm just going to zoom in on here are just the college level, just the college support first. So like I said, part of our role is to be that first point of contact if that's useful. We work on a team, a fantastic welfare team that includes the GCR welfare reps. So that's at the moment that we've got a vice president for welfare, who's Penny. I'm actually the outgoing female welfare rep, and we have a male welfare rep called Leon. We'll talk a little bit more. You'll meet the GCR the next part of the slide, so I'll leave a bit of that to them. So we work with them. We also work with the academic registrar, Alison Franklin, and the senior tutor, Alison Stenton. Who else do we work with? We work with the college nurse, the college doctor, obviously the dean for welfare too. So just to get you guys a bit of a picture of the people who are out there. And if you would prefer to go to one of those other people within the college welfare network, please do. We work closely together, and whoever you feel most comfortable speaking to, we'd really encourage you to do that. The last thing I'm going to zoom in on this slide is the peer supporters. So one of our roles is that we work very closely with the peer supporters and help kind of coordinate what they do here. So the peer supporters are a group of students who have undergone special training in counselling, listening type skills, and who are therefore really well placed to be kind of a listening ear for students with anything that might be going on. We have, I think there's a number of them that are undergoing training at the moment who will go live, I think, in maybe in a month. And we already have a bunch of about 8 to 10, I think, as well. If you go onto the college intranet, you can find them there. There's pictures of them, a little bit of their background, some areas they might feel more confident in, for example, finance, sexual health, and also contact details on there. So please do use that resource. They're excellent, they're well trained, they're lovely, lovely people, and they're there for you guys. So do reach out if there's something you want to get off your chest, and that would feel like a helpful place to start. Another person, so Leon, who is our male welfare rep, is also the coordinator for the peer supporters. So Leon Ull is another person you could go to there. Fabulous. So there's a lot of information on that. I'm not going to any more detail, but do come back to that. And if there's any questions about that particularly, feel free to email us on the JD account. Shall we move on to the next slide? This is just a little illustration to show that we know that life isn't always smooth. There can be ups and downs, and we are here for you, basically, as within the welfare team. That's all that slide is to say. Can we have the next one? And again, it's something I'll let you read at your leisure if you want to look through these slides later. But I think just one thing I will concentrate on here is that there are so many ways to be an Oxford student. You will notice as you spend more time here that people study in different ways, they spend their time doing different things, and don't compare yourself, just do what makes you happy. Find the places you fit, find the people you click with, and spend time with them. And never forget, you deserve to be here. You've done so well to get a place here at Oxford, and don't let anything stop you from remembering that. You do deserve to be here. You are good enough. I think we've got one last slide. Oh yeah, this is just some tips of things you could do if you are needing a bit of time out. One I'm going to highlight here is Port Meadow, which is my favourite place to get to, and I just want a bit of space. It's about a 7-minute walk out of the back of college, and there are horses, there are cows, there's ducks. It's a great place to have a walk, have a swim if you're feeling brave enough, and just to get away from it all. The very last slide, please, Hayley, thank you. Just to focusing on COVID, I'm sure you're sick to death of hearing about COVID at this stage, but just a little reminder from us that there might be, just a reminder that different people might be at different levels of anxiety with COVID, and we know that everyone's got their own views and their own opinions on the rules and the regulations, but we just really encourage you to think about others when you think about whether you want to put your mask on at home or how much distance you want to keep. It might be that you feel not as worried, but some people really will. So please be patient, be kind, be tolerant, and at the bottom it says any questions about the COVID restrictions, regulations, why, you know, we want more, you want less, have a chat with us, send us an email, and hopefully we can help you out. I am done. Thank you for listening to me witter on, and I'm going to pass on to the lovely GCR.
Thanks, Hetty. Hi everyone, my name's Jacqueline and I'm a PhD student, and I'll be speaking briefly about the Graduate Common Room Committee, which I've been a member of for the past year. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. The Graduate Common Room, or GCR, is a bit like the student union at college. It's also known as the MCR in some of the other colleges. And then there's a committee, so the Graduate Common Room Committee is made up of elected student representatives who have various roles. So these include organising events and helping with welfare support, helping with the welfare support network at college, and also representing international students or other groups within the student body in college. The committee organises social events in college, and even though we know this year is going to be slightly different in practical terms, we still plan to organise as much as we can. So things like takeaway nights and other events, either online or in person. And some of the committee members are also responsible for advertising professional development opportunities to the students, and also linking up with other colleges to arrange shared social events if we're able to do that. We'll aim to do that. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some ways you might hear from the committee include through the Green Templeton Facebook page, which you might have already joined. There's a link here if you'd like to join it, which you can hear updates about events that we're organising in college, and emails also come through about events and professional development opportunities to the college mailing lists. And we produce a term card so you can see which days the events will be on throughout term. And this term card will be available online and will also be sent by email. Next slide, please. Here's an example of what the term card looks like for the upcoming term. So the dates of these events are still being finalised, but this gives an idea of what we're planning to organise at the moment. And if you have any ideas for any events, perhaps you've heard of things that other colleges are doing socially and you'd like us to do that too, then please do get in touch with the committee, and we'd always welcome any new ideas or suggestions. Next slide, please. The new committee will be elected later in October, and anyone's welcome to stand for election for whichever role you fancy. So if you're at all interested, please do take a look at the college website where there's a list of all the different roles on the committee. And from there you can contact any of us to ask about what we do or how much time it takes up and those kinds of things. And then the elections are quite informal. You would just nominate yourself, and then at hustings you would give a short talk about why you want to do the role, and then we do online voting. It's all relatively informal, so don't worry about that process. And if you're interested in joining or you have any questions or suggestions for us, then please do get in touch with us. And I'll hand over to Elaine and the events team.
Hello everybody, it's lovely to see you all. My name's Elaine and I'm the operations manager overseeing catering and events. I also have the lovely task of holding the alcohol and entertainment licence on site, so sometimes I do have to be the sensible one when it comes to some of the events on site. Can I have the next slide please? This is our lovely team. Chris is our head chef. He's fairly obvious on that picture, I think. He will take a good look because he will rarely be seen. He doesn't come out of the kitchen an awful lot, but he's will be found beavering away, cooking you some lovely food and experimenting on new recipes and ideas. Harriet runs the food and she's the food and beverage manager and runs the front of house team. She coordinates a lot of the dinners, lunches, and often organises the service for our bigger marquee events as well. So they're all located in the dining room kitchen, which is in the in the ground floor of the observatory. So, and then you've got Hayley and Jamie, who both look after our external and internal events, and they're based in the admin building on the main site. Can I get the next slide, please? I love this slide. It really does depict the fun and lively events calendar that we would normally expect to see. And I hope we'll be seeing some of that this coming year. We have a very good, amazing reputation for good food and service, so it's often quoted as the best within the Oxford colleges. So I hope we'll be able to showcase that very soon, and that you'll be able to find out how our food tastes. Our calendar events is normally pretty wide and varied, and our teams are certainly really working very hard with the GCR as well to ensure we've got a number of in-person and virtual events to help you connect with some of your friends and colleagues. So and many of these that we run are actually listed on our website, so you'll be able to get more details of what's going on there. We've actually put up a small marquee on our tennis courts for your use, understanding that space on site is actually quite limited. There's lots of signage up in there, so I do ask you to follow that, making sure that we're keeping our distances. Our in-person events will be assessed quite heavily and risk controlled and coordinated in such a way that we're operating in groups of 6. So I do ask you to be patient and follow the guidelines that we do send out so that we can continue to operate safe and well managed events. But I do hope we can return to some more normality in the future, and we'll see some of these lovely summer garden parties and music events soon. That would be great. Can I get the next slide, please? So this is a snapshot of our dining room and a screenshot of our booking system. The dining room, as I've said, is located in the beautiful observatory building. We've only recently just opened it, literally 3 weeks ago, and we've got a pre-booked click and collect lunch service in operation at the moment with pre-booked time slots. The booking system and all the instruction on how to use it and all the information on menus, etc., will all be found on the intranet. We try and actually keep most of our information located there so that we've got one central source for you guys to access. We will be reviewing it regularly and changing the offer. We are a small team in quite a confined building, which wasn't really set up for a kitchen and dining room, so please bear with us. If you are ill and you're having to self-isolate, we are now running, literally started today, a delivery service to those in our accommodation, which includes college cooked meals and shop items. But the message I do want to get across is that we are here to help you. So if you want to talk food, allergens, dietary requirements, please do contact us, because we can help you and we will be able to assist. So we will update you via bulletins and the intranet, and you'll find, like I say, most up-to-date information on the intranet. So lovely to see you all. I'm going to hand over to Hayley, who's going to talk a little bit more about the event side.
Hi all, so my name's Hayley. I'm the events manager at Green Templeton. So as Elaine was saying, we usually run a lively and varied calendar of events throughout the year, organised by the GCR, fellows and staff. So typically events include lectures, dinners, sporting and social activities. But at the moment we've organised mostly online events, and we've been working with the GCR to organise a few socially distanced events as well, such as the Pizza Thursdays, and we've got a few others in the pipeline as well. So as Elaine mentioned as well, we've got a marquee on the tennis court. So the GCR is going to be utilising a few in-person events, which is exciting. And then when it's not in use, you're very welcome to go and use the marquee and sit in there for lunch or grab a coffee. So if you wanted to organise an event for you and your fellow students, you can reach out to the GCR, and that's if it's a social event, or you can reach out to the academic initiatives team for an academic event. So contact information will be on the intranet, which is including the GCR's email address, and there's an application form as well for academic events. So we do have meeting rooms on college on site. If you did want to book a meeting room, send an email to me, and I will send you any details and keep you up to date what you can and can't do. So that's any changes related to events or meeting rooms. And that's it from me really. Before I hand over to Ruth though, if you have any questions, drop them through the chat and then we'll go through those at the end. Thank you very much. Over to Ruth.
Hello everybody, my name's Ruth Loseby. I'm the Academic Projects Manager at Green Templeton, and myself, along with a small team of Naomi and Yoland, we look after and do the administration for what we call the college's academic initiatives. Now these aren't the kind of core academic courses that you're doing via your departments, but the added value events and activities that college put on to try and make it a vibrant place where we bring people together across disciplines and fellows and students, etc. Next slide, please. So we've got lots to offer academically beyond the core departmental courses, and we run a variety of interdisciplinary projects. And the idea is not just to bring people together across disciplines and make the most of being part of a vibrant college environment, but also to bring people from outside of college into college. That's a big part of it too. But so the community of people involved goes far beyond just the kind of college environment. Next slide, please. Now there's lots of opportunities to look out for, and you'll see these either in the events bulletin, which my colleague will talk a little bit about later, or in the senior tutors bulletin. There's lots of workshops and seminars that we put on in college. Obviously at the moment these are mainly virtual, but actually that has some advantages as well as obviously there's some disadvantages, but there's also very many advantages, because it means we can reach out to a much broader community of people, and people can join us from all sorts of places and around the world. Keep an eye out for those. They're on the website under the events tab, but they're also on the events bulletin that comes out late every week. There's shadowing opportunities. So we run a management in medicine program where there's an opportunity for people who are interested in healthcare management and systems to shadow for one day either a manager in the healthcare system or in social care. We've got a coaching program, which is a really excellent opportunity. This is a free sort of for Green Templeton students to get one-to-one coaching 4 times over the year with a professional coach who would normally be doing executive coaching. And so it's a fantastic opportunity to really take benefit of that type of coaching. You might get an opportunity to act as a graduate assistant on a summer school, or you can join one of the student-run academic activities like the Global Health and Care Systems Student Society. We encourage you to run your own conferences and seminars, and I'll come on to a little bit more detail about that in a minute. And there's opportunities for budding entrepreneurs. We help look after the All Innovate competition for college, and you'll be seeing more about that later in the year. Not quite sure what form it's going to take this year with things being virtual, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of ideas. And if you need some help with the statistics side of your work, there's a quant hub. Next slide, please. So here's 3 different things I'd encourage you to do. First of all, get involved. As I say, there's lots of things, all sorts of activities and events to join. This evening, we've got the Management in Medicine opening seminar on the NHS past, present and future. I think there's already about 200 people signed up for that. Get inspired. So as I was saying, students can really make a difference. Some of them have the brightest and best ideas for events and other activities. So if you go onto the web, and there's the link on the slide there for student projects, you can see some of the things that people have organised in past years, and you can get some ideas of what you might want to do yourself. But don't feel bounded by that. If you've got an idea and there's been nothing like it before, we're still really interested to hear about it. So you can make things happen yourself. There's funding for students to organise their own academic activities in college, not normally exceeding £1,000 per activity, and usually many of them are much smaller than that. The link's on the slide, which will be going round, and this is an opportunity for you to sort of make a difference yourself. If you've got an idea and just want to talk about it, we're really happy to help you with advice, how to get involved, who you might link to in college if you're looking for people with similar interests. Normally we'd be welcoming you to the admin building where we work below the Barclay room, but as you know, at the moment we can't do that, but we're really happy to talk by phone, Teams, Zoom and email. That's the end of my bit for now. I'm going to pass you on to Nick Parrott, who's going to tell you about communications in college.
Hi, good afternoon. Next slide, please, Henrietta. So I'm Nick Parrott. Myself and Lara, who's coming back tomorrow, and Georgia for the next couple of weeks, are the small communications team in college. So we look after various things, both internally and externally. I'd first like to say thank you to those of you who've already provided student profiles for the website. So that's a nice section we introduced last year to introduce you to one another, and also people beyond the student community to see who's members of Green Templeton working in the diverse areas, as you've heard from my colleagues. What do we do? So we look after the websites, the main social media channels, emails, and then print and things about brand and the logo as well. So if you have questions or need a logo for an event or a DPhil thesis, please come to us, and work very closely with the student groups and the fellows, as well as with the other members of staff, on promoting the different activities within the college. Yeah, next slide, please, Henrietta. And then the other thing that we're looking to do, particularly on the website, is to feature successes of all the members of the community. And hopefully that includes many of you. So please do let us know when you're doing things, whether that's awards, publications, activities you're doing in your fieldwork or research, both now and in the future, I would say. And then, yeah, follow us and engage with us on social. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. And yeah, always open to suggestions or exchange on email as well. So thank you very much. I'll pass over to Kirsty and the library.
Hi, my name is Kirsty. I'm the Head of Library and Information Services. Next slide, please. And as well as myself, you'll also find Richard, who works in the library. He's in 3 days a week. And we're both here to help you find items on your reading lists, use electronic resources, and answer any questions that you might have about the library here in college and also the other Oxford libraries. Next slide, please. So the library is a space for current students, fellows and staff. It's quite a small space compared to the number of students that we have in college. So we do ask that you don't bring partners or friends from other colleges into the library. This year, we're going to have 11 study spaces across the library, with a further 7 study spaces downstairs in the lecture theatre. If you do want to study in the library, you will need to book a study space in advance, but all the information on how to do that is on the college intranet. Next slide, please. So the library, as well as being a place to study, it also has a book collection, which is available to you. We have approximately 10,000 books, and these are all listed on Solo, which is the university's resource discovery tool. If you'd like to borrow one of the books from the library, you just need to request it using the click and collect service. And this is done through Solo, and that comes through to us, and then Richard or I will fetch the book from the shelves, and we'll then leave it at the lodge for you to pick up when it's convenient to you. Next slide, please. You can take out or borrow up to 20 books at a time. Most of them can be borrowed for the whole term or for the whole vacation. And one good thing about the library here is we don't charge overdue fines. If you forget to return your books on time, we might chase you by email just to remind you, but we wouldn't charge you any overdue payments. And if you're looking for a book that the library doesn't have, please do feel free to suggest it to us, and we'll consider purchasing it for the library. Again, there's an online form on the internet for you to do so. Next slide, please. So I've mentioned the internet a couple of times. There's a lot of information on how to get started on the internet. And if you have any questions at all, you can just ask us. You can email us at library@GTC, and that comes through to both myself and to Richard. And next slide, please. Okay, I'm just going to carry on and talk about IT because there's not a member of the IT team here. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so the IT team, there are 3 members of IT staff. There's Jim, who is the head of IT, and there's also RJ and Nisar. And they're really here to help you get set up on your systems and resolve any problems that you might have. And the college IT team work closely with the university IT department, and they provide access to email, Wi-Fi and printing. So the 3 core things that everybody wants when they're in college. If you want to contact IT, the best way to do so is by email at the email address there, so it-support@GTC. So that's the best way to get in touch with anyone on our team here. But there's also a useful getting started guide, which is on the college website, again at that URL there. So if you haven't already found it, I would recommend looking at that document because it really can help you get set up if you haven't already done so. And that's all I'm going to talk about on IT, so that's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Sophie.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Development and Alumni Relations Department. My name's Sophie. I'm Alumni Relations Officer. Next slide, please. So this is our lovely team. We have Kerry Butcher, who's Head of Development, who oversees the whole Development and Alumni Relations Department. I deal with Alumni Relations and Regular Giving. Sam is our database genius who allows us to keep in constant contact with our alumni. And Suzanne, otherwise known as Stan by all and sundry, is sort of responsible for running the office, and you'll find that you deal with her if you have any annual fund queries at all. Next slide, please. So you might be wondering, when you've only just started, why on earth you're talking about alumni relations. Well, the second you join Green Templeton, you become part of that community, and our global alumni community are a very important part of that community, and you will join that. It will go, as you will remember from your undergrad degree, it will just fly past in a flash, and before you know it, you'll be part of our alumni community. So we organise local and global alumni events, obviously mainly virtual at the moment. We aren't able to obviously run any face-to-face events, but in the past our principal or representatives of the college have travelled around the world meeting alumni in various countries, putting on events, as well as being part of the Oxford, the Global Meeting Minds, which is the sort of umbrella alumni events that happen in various places around the world. But obviously now we're all virtual. We're launching a lecture series this term with 6 speakers, first of which is going to be Sir Michael Dixon, our new principal. And the lectures will cover all the sort of breadth and range of topics and research at GTC, which is fabulous. So we're hoping to encompass everything that goes on in the college. We provide opportunities for you to keep in contact with your fellow alumni we have social media groups in various countries. We also collect alumni stories and testimonials, particularly over COVID. We've had some wonderful stories of how our alumni have been involved, which you will find on the website under the alumni tab. But we also help raise vital funds for the college. And as part of that, last year we ran a very successful Giving Day. Now we have another one coming up in March, and I will be hopefully contacting some of you. I'm sure some of you have had some sort of involvement with the Giving Day at your previous universities, and it's a fantastic opportunity to get the entire college community involved, from students to staff, alumni. So I will be in contact to see if any of you have any ideas for initiatives that you might do, be it a quiz or competitions, that sort of thing. We also administer the annual fund, as I said, so I'm sure we will be meeting you, hopefully in person one day, but certainly virtually. And we also provide merchandise, such as this beautiful mug. There we go, which we make available to students and alumni. Next slide, please. So as I said, you will always be a member of the Green Templeton community, even though you've only just started. And that's really something to bear in mind, that we support you as alumni as well as supporting you as students while you're here. And you will make those lifelong connections, and we hope that that's something that we allow you to continue. We help you to sort of keep in touch with people around the world. You also will have the opportunity to help students, people in your position now, by sharing sort of wisdom, career tips, that type of thing. We're hoping to set up virtual events whereby alumni can help you with career tips, advice, that kind of thing. So it really is an entire community, and we really look forward to welcoming you as an alum, even though it must seem a long way off. Next slide, please. So we're based right in the middle of college, just opposite the Stables Bar. I know many of you won't even have been on site yet, but we're a very friendly team. So if you have any queries at all, do give us a ring or email us at alumni@GTC. And that's it for me, I think.
Okay, thank you everyone. So we'll go through any questions that you might have. So there hasn't been any questions through the chat. So I don't know if anyone wants to turn their videos on and give us a wave if they've got a question, and I can unmute them. Yeah, Jared, do you have a question? Okay, just unmute you.
Sorry about that, I was just waving.
Oh, okay, well nice to see you. Video on as well. Oh, okay, we've got a question from Carla. Sorry if I missed this. Do we have any in-person welcome reception? This question is probably for me to help answer. We do have a virtual welcome receptions, which Caitlin from the college office has sent some emails out for. And then GCR, Jacqueline, I think there might be potentially the drinks in the marquee.
Yeah, we I think are still finalising dates for those events, but we're definitely hoping to do something in person, but it's not finalised yet.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it'll probably go out on the grapevine email address with what's happening.
And don't forget about the GCR run, like pizza and Chinese takeaway nights, because they're not official welcome things, but they're very much a good opportunity to meet people.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There is actually a Chinese food one for tonight that you can sign up for. So yeah, do get on those. Okay, any other questions? Zach? There you go, you're unmuted.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for all of this. Very exciting. Just a quick question. I'm living on St. Margaret's, and I just wanted to know, generally for mail or packages for these types of accommodations that are off the main college campus, should we still request that to the lodge, or can we request it to our individual accommodation?
Okay. Probably Teresa?
Yep, sure. Hi. You can have your parcels delivered to the lodge. It's probably easier once you're out of self-isolation, because they're obviously open 24/7. And if you have them delivered to your building, somebody might not always be there. But I know some students do, so it's really entirely up to you. But that's what the lodge is there for. If you want to have parcels or post delivered to the lodge, then they'll keep it there for you until you want to go and collect it.
Perfect. Cynthia?
Yes, so similar question, but for accommodation that's not shared. So I'm in Raleigh Abbey Court. Can I get packages here, or should I also send them to the lodge?
Yeah, absolutely. Have them sent to the lodge, and you can come and collect them from the lodge. Again, I know some people do have parcels delivered to Raleigh Abbey Court, and that's fine. But obviously, you do need to meet the delivery driver at the gate and take the parcel from them, because they don't have access past the gate. So if it's easier, just have your parcels and post delivered to the lodge and come and collect them when it's convenient for you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No, we've got one on the chat from Rotendo. Hi, how do you send packages to the lodge? I think that's a simple one, isn't it? Just to put your name and the address of Green Templeton on there.
That's right. Obviously, it does need to have your name on there so that the lodge know which pitch to put the parcel or post into, and you use the main college address, 43 Woodstock Road. All that information is on our website. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, next question from Maria. Thanks for sharing. I have finished the registration online. Can I pick up a welcome bag whenever I want, or do I need to book in beforehand? Is that for you, Caitlin?
Probably, yes. So we're going to be sending an email out to everyone who's completed the virtual registration but hasn't yet picked up their card or their bag, hopefully this week, with some clearly defined times where we've arranged it to be able to pick up. The reason why you haven't been sent this yet is because we are still working through some details about what is the safest way to have so many students on site picking up bags and cards. So do keep an eye out for both your GTC email address as well as your personal email address, because I'll be sending that out to everyone later this week. So you'll be able to pick it up soon. We're just working through those final details.
Brilliant, thank you. One more question. Is there any currently standing estimate of when it may be possible to have guests in our accommodation, or is this beyond anyone's guess at present? Is that maybe a Tim question?
Hi, thank you very much. I think the question's been answered by the questionnaire. We're not really in control of this environment. Once things become safe, and who knows when that's going to be, then obviously the rules and regulations around this will change. But at the moment, we're constrained by this, not least by government regulation. So I'm afraid we're going to have to have a pause button on that one for the moment. But as soon as it is feasible to open up accommodation so that we can return to normal life, obviously we will be doing that. So I think you've answered your own question there. Unfortunately, it's something all of us are facing in private and college life.
Great, thank you, Tim. I think that's it. That's all the questions we've had. So back over to you, Tim, for final words.
Well, a very warm welcome, first of all, and thanks for listening through all of this. I hope you found it useful. As I say, the slides will be distributed, so they'll be available. As many have said, the lodge is available for easy questions. Your junior deans are out there working hard already, and the staff are ready to take questions. The GCR are trying to get things up and running, and we're hoping that that is going to work within all the limits of COVID-19. We're all boringly familiar with all of that, but unfortunately, this is a fact of life. And hope you enjoy yourself here, and hope your academic work goes well. So very, very warm welcome, and I look forward to meeting you all properly one day. But in the meantime, please stay safe and enjoy it. Thanks. Bye.